My father took my brother out of the company but left me as a partner. Then the judge saw the contract. I was 28 years old when I woke up and discovered I owed $3.2 million. 3.2 million. And I hadn't taken out any loans. I hadn't started any businesses. I hadn't signed any contracts. Or at least that's what I thought. My name was on a company I never knew existed. A company that went bankrupt. A company my father owned. And the worst part, my younger brother, the family favorite, had been removed from that same company 6 months before it went bankrupt. Only I was left. This is the story of how my own father turned me into a pawn for $1 million debt while protecting my brother from everything. Let me go back a bit, so you can understand how I got here. My name is Sarah. I grew up in Seattle, in a family that seemed normal on the surface. My father, Richard, owned an import-export company. He was always the kind of man everyone respected. Impeccable suit, firm handshake, convincing smile. My mom died when I was 17. Cancer. After that, it was just me, my dad, and my younger brother, Tyler. Tyler was always the sweetheart. 3 years younger than me, athletic, popular, charismatic. Everything I wasn't. I was the family nerd. The one who got top grades, but never got invited to parties. When I finished college, I went to work at a marketing agency. I built my career from scratch. I sweated for every promotion. I lived in a tiny apartment on Capitol Hill, paid my own bills, and never asked my father for anything. Tyler was different. He dropped out of college in his sophomore year. My father didn't care. In fact, my father offered him a position at the company. Tyler has a talent for business, my dad would say. College isn't for everyone. I had graduated with honors. He had dropped out. But Tyler got an executive position and a new Audi. I never complained. I was proud of my independence. But this was about to backfire on me in ways I could never have imagined. It was a Sunday in March of 2020. I was at my dad's apartment for lunch. Tyler was there too, but he stayed in the living room playing video games while my dad and I talked in the kitchen. "Sarah, I need a favor," my father said, taking a leather folder out of the drawer. "Sure, Dad. What is it?" He placed some papers in front of me. "It's just bank documentation. I'm refinancing some company assets. I need your signature here, here, and here." I looked at the papers. There were at least 20 pages. Legal terms, numbers, that tiny font no one can read. "What exactly am I signing?" I asked. My father laughed. That paternal, condescending laugh. "Sarah, are you becoming a lawyer now? It's just bank paperwork. Nothing major. I just need a family member's signature as a guarantee." "But why not Tyler?" Silence. My father looked away, stirred his coffee. "Tyler's already dealing with other things at the company. You know how busy he is." I didn't know. In fact, every time I saw Tyler, he was either out golfing or posting pictures at some expensive restaurant on Instagram. But I didn't argue. Because he was my father. Because I still, in some pathetic way, wanted his approval. Because maybe, just maybe, if I did this, he'd finally see me the way he saw Tyler. So I picked up the pen. And I signed. My father quickly put the papers away and patted me on the shoulder. "Thank you, dear. You've always been the responsible one." Responsible. That word would come back to haunt me. In the following months, nothing changed on the surface. I kept working. I got a promotion. I moved to a better apartment in Fremont. My dad seemed normal. Tyler kept posting pictures of his perfect life. But I started to notice little things. My dad canceled our monthly dinner twice in a row. When I called, he was always in a meeting. Tyler stopped responding to my messages. And then in September, I heard from a cousin that Tyler had left my dad's company. "Oh, you didn't know," my cousin said casually at a barbecue. "Tyler told me your dad took him off the payroll. Something about restructuring." I was confused. My father hadn't told me anything. I called him that night. "Oh yeah," he said, as if it were the most normal thing in the world. "Tyler decided to pursue other projects. He's doing well. In fact, I bought him an apartment in Bellevue. He needs room to grow." Bought an apartment, while I was still paying rent from my salary. But that's okay. I was independent, remember? I didn't need my father's help. At least that's what I told myself. November 2020. It was a Tuesday morning. I was working from home, in a Zoom meeting, when the doorbell rang. I ignored it. The doorbell rang again. Again. Annoyed, I turned off the camera and walked to the door. A man in a gray suit stood there, holding a briefcase. "Sarah Mitchell?" he asked. "Yes. You have been subpoenaed." He handed me a thick envelope. Before I could ask him anything, he was gone. My hands were shaking as I opened the envelope. Words jumped off the page. Legal action. Recovery Solutions, LLC versus Sarah Mitchell. Outstanding debt, $3,247,892. $3,247,892. I read it again, and again, and again. This didn't make sense. It had to be a mistake, a scam, some kind of identity fraud. I continued reading. Respondent, Sarah Mitchell, as registered partner of Pacific Trade Solutions, LLC. Wait, Pacific Trade Solutions? That was my father's company. Is legally liable for corporate debts under the Washington State Commercial Code. Partner? I wasn't a partner in anything. Attached registration documentation, dated March 2020. March 2020. Sunday lunch. The papers. It's just banking bureaucracy. I felt the ground disappear beneath my feet. I called my dad immediately. Call rejected. I called again. Voicemail. I sent a message. Viewed. No response. I called Tyler. Straight to voicemail. I drove to my dad's house. No one answered. His Cadillac wasn't in the driveway. I went back to my apartment and read the entire subpoena. All of it. My father's company had gone bankrupt in August. Tyler had been removed as a partner in March. The same day I signed those papers. He added me and removed Tyler on the same day. I couldn't breathe. In the following days, I tried to call my father 23 times. 23. He never answered. Finally, on a Friday night, he replied to my message. "Sarah, I'm so sorry. The business didn't work out. You have to understand, I had no choice. Talk to a lawyer. Everything will be fine. Everything will be fine? $3 million. And he thought everything was going to be okay. I replied, "You took Tyler away and left only me. Why?" It took him 2 hours to respond. Tyler is young. He has his whole life ahead of him. You are strong, Sarah. You always have been. You will get through this. I read that message 10 times. It hurt more and more. He had sacrificed his daughter to save his son. The first thing that happened was my bank account was frozen. I woke up on a Monday, and my card was declined at the coffee shop. I called the bank. "Miss Mitchell, there is a court order against your accounts. We cannot release funds until the case is resolved." My checking account, frozen. My economy, frozen. I had $63 in cash in my wallet. That was all I had. I called my work and explained that I wouldn't be able to deposit my salary. "No problem, Sarah. We can make a physical check for you." 2 days later, I tried to cash the check. "Sorry, there's a restriction on your account. We can't process this." My salary, my own salary that I had earned, blocked. I tried to talk to my father in person. I drove to his house. He didn't open the door, but I saw his silhouette through the window. He was in there, ignoring me. I knocked on the door for 15 minutes. "Dad, open this door. You owe me an explanation." Neighbors began to look. I finally left, tears streaming down my face. I called Tyler. For the first time in weeks, he answered. "Hi, Sarah." His voice was distant, cold. "Tyler, did you know? Did you know that Dad took you out of the company and put me in your place?" Silence. "Tyler." "Sarah, look, I didn't know it was going to get this bad. Dad said it was just a restructuring." "A restructuring? $3 million, Tyler. $3 million that I don't owe. I'm sorry, okay? But I can't do anything about it now. It's already happened. You can testify. You can tell the judge that you were removed the same day I was added." "Sarah, I can't get involved in this. Dad said it's best for me to stay out of it." "Stay out. You are out. While I'm in this shit. I have to go. Sorry." He hung up. My own brother. I tried to keep living. I tried to work. I tried to act like everything was normal. But it wasn't. Creditors started calling me. "Miss Mitchell, we're calling regarding the debt owed to." I would hang up. They called again, and again, and again. Lawyers started sending me letters. Notice of attachment. Notice of judgment. Notice of execution of assets. I could barely sleep. I lost 4 kilos in 2 weeks. My boss called me for a chat. "Sarah, are you okay? Your performance has been dropping a lot." I didn't say anything. I just said I was going through personal problems. The worst part, my family. My father told his side of the story to everyone. Sarah got into financial trouble. I tried to help, but she's an adult, you know? I can't solve everything for her. Uncles, cousins, family friends all started to see me differently, as if I were the irresponsible one, as if I had done something wrong. On Thanksgiving, I wasn't invited to the family dinner. Tyler posted pictures. Him, my dad, my uncles, all smiling. I was alone in my apartment, eating instant noodles. That was my version of Thanksgiving. January 2021. I was at rock bottom. My landlord had initiated eviction proceedings. I owed 3 months' rent. My car was towed. I was living on ramen and potatoes. And I had given up. I was ready to declare bankruptcy, let my credit be destroyed, maybe even leave the country. But then something happened. I was in a cafe, using free Wi-Fi because my internet had been cut off, when a woman sat down next to me. She was older, maybe early 50s, short gray hair, reading glasses. She looked at her laptop, then at me. "Excuse me, are you Sarah Mitchell?" My stomach sank. Another creditor? Another lawyer? I do. My name is Rebecca Torres. I'm a lawyer. I specialize in corporate fraud. Oh no. No. I can't afford a lawyer, I said quickly. I can barely afford food. She smiled gently. I'm not here to charge you anything. I'm here because I know your father. I froze. Actually, she continued, I used to sue companies like his. And when I saw his case in the public record, I recognized his name immediately. She opened her bag and took out a folder. Can I sit down? I nodded, speechless. She sat in front of me and opened the folder. Sarah, you know what your father did is illegal, right? I don't know. I signed the papers. You signed papers that he said were bank documentation. He lied about the content. This is called fraudulent inducement, defect of consent. My heart started beating faster. But I signed, under false representation. Also, she turned a page. Did you realize that your brother was removed as a partner the exact same day you were added? Yes, I noticed. This is called a fraudulent transfer. Your father removed a family member who was aware of the company's problems and added a member who had no idea. This is deliberate planning to avoid creditors. For the first time in months, I felt something other than despair. Hope. Can you prove it? Rebecca smiled. I've already started. I pulled the company's public records. I have the dissolution documents. And Sarah, I found emails. Emails. Your father used an accountant. That accountant kept records. And in Discovery, we can access everything. She slid a paper to me. It was a printout of an email. From Richard Mitchell. To James Chun, CPA. Date, March 15th, 2020. Subject, urgent restructuring. Jim, I need to remove Tyler from the corporate documents today. And add Sarah. She won't ask questions. Tyler knows too much about the vendor debts. I need someone with clean records in case this goes to legal. I read that thing 5 times. She won't ask questions. Someone clean on paper. He had planned it. From the beginning. Rebecca, I said, my voice breaking. Why are you helping me? She closed the folder and looked me straight in the eyes. Because 20 years ago, my ex-husband did the same thing to me. He made me a partner in a bankrupt company while he protected himself. It took me 8 years to get out of debt. She touched my hand. Nobody helped me. So now I help other people. Pro bono when necessary. I started crying right there, in the middle of the cafe. What do I need to do? First, she said, we respond to this subpoena with a counterclaim. We allege fraud, fraudulent transfer, and ask that you be removed from the corporate debts. Will this work? I never guarantee anything in court. But Sarah, with that email, we have a fucking chance. The next few months were a war. Rebecca filed the counterclaim in February. The creditor's response was immediate and aggressive. They didn't want to lose $3 million. My father hired his own lawyers. Expensive ones. Very expensive ones. Their strategy was simple. Paint me as a knowledgeable and participating partner. At the first hearing, my father's lawyer, a 60-year-old man in a $3,000 suit, looked at me with disdain. Ms. Mitchell signed corporate documents. She was a 28-year-old adult woman with a college degree. The claim that she didn't know is absurd. Rebecca stood up. Your Excellency, I would like to introduce Exhibit A. She projected the email onto the screen. The court was silent as everyone read. She won't ask questions, Rebecca read aloud. Someone with clean papers. Your Honor, this is not a business partnership. This is premeditated fraud. The judge, a middle-aged man with a stern expression, looked at my father's lawyer. "Mr. Morrison, does your client have any explanation for this email?" The lawyer coughed. "Your Honor, this email is taken out of context." Mr. Mitchell was simply, "Context," the judge interrupted. "What context makes she won't ask questions seem legitimate?" Silence. The second hearing was even worse for my father. Rebecca had managed to depose the accountant, James Chun. He confirmed, under oath, that my father had specifically asked him to process Tyler's removal and Sarah's addition on the same day. And Mr. Mitchell explained why. Rebecca asked. He said Tyler asked some questions about vendor debt. He wanted to simplify the structure, with someone who wasn't involved in day-to-day operations. Translation: someone who didn't know the company was sinking? Objection, my father's lawyer shouted. Sustained, the judge said. But the damage was already done. In April, Rebecca achieved something even better. Bank records. 3 weeks before the bankruptcy, my father had transferred $220,000 from the corporate account to a personal account, and he had used that money to buy Tyler's apartment in Bellevue. Fraudulent conveyance, Rebecca explained to me. He took assets from the company to protect personal assets while leaving you holding the debt. At the next hearing, when Rebecca presented these bank records, I saw my father turn pale. The judge was not happy. Mr. Mitchell, did you transfer corporate funds to purchase personal property for your son while your company was insolvent? Your Excellency, I was trying to protect my family. Protect your family? The judge interrupted. You made your daughter responsible for millions in debt while you bought an apartment for your son. My father's lawyer tried to do damage control, but it was too late. The most surreal thing? My dad tried to call me. After months of silence, he finally called. I answered. Sarah, you need to stop this. His voice was different. Desperate. Stop what, Dad? Stop the lawsuit? Stop trying to clear MY name. You're destroying our family. I laughed. A bitter, broken laugh. I'm destroying you? You put me in $3 million debt. I had no choice. The company was sinking. I had to protect Tyler. Why not me, Dad? Why didn't I deserve to be protected? Silence. Sarah, you were always the strong one. The independent one. You didn't need my help like Tyler does. So you used me. You sacrificed me. I did what I had to do. I hung up. That was the last time I spoke to my father. The court decision came out in June of 2021. Rebecca called me on a Friday morning. Sarah, we won. I couldn't speak. The judge ruled in your favor. You have been removed as a partner. The corporate debts have been reassigned back to your father as sole liable. I fell to my knees right there, in the middle of the kitchen. Is it true? Is it over? It's over. You're free. But it's not over completely. The judge also ordered my father to pay all my legal expenses, damages for emotional distress, $50,000. And here was the kicker. He had to pay back the $220,000 he had used to buy Tyler's apartment. The apartment had to be sold. Tyler was furious. He texted me. You destroyed everything. Dad lost everything because of you. I lost my apartment. I hope you're happy. I answered one thing. I didn't destroy anything. I just refused to pay for our father's choices. He protected you. I had to protect myself. He never answered. My father declared personal bankruptcy 6 months later. I heard from a cousin. Part of me felt sorry, but most of me felt justice. Today, 3 years later, my life is different. I moved from Seattle. I started over in Portland. I got a better job. I finally rented a decent place. It took 2 years for my credit to recover, but it did. Rebecca and I still keep in touch. She's become more than my lawyer. She's become my friend. I never spoke to my dad again. Or Tyler. At first, it hurt, like a physical pain in the chest. But over time, I realized that I didn't lose a family. I escaped one. Thank you so much for following the story so far. Tell me in the comments if you're watching from where, and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this.